Well, that was the way it was. I mean, I worked down the quarry, but we didn't have cranes back then. I actually had two dinosaurs on leads. There were two brontosauruses, the bucks with the big long necks, and they'd be banging their heads off the walls of the quarry and getting all the stones off. They always wore helmets and things like that, but I mean, it didn't help when the meteor came down right enough, but I mean, they were great workers, the dinosaurs. When the day was done, my supervisor pulled the tail of a wee bird, and I'd get off the dinosaurs and I'd say, yabba dabba doo, that's me away home now, because I hated working in that quarry. But back then there was no engines, so I'd get into the car and I'd put my feet through the two holes in the bottom, and I'd run the whole way home to Castle Rock. And I'd no shoes on me or nothing, but that was the way it was. I mean, if you got in a bus, you would then have to walk on the bus, but you'd get there faster because everyone was doing it. That was the way it was. But I got home then to your granny Wilma and me wee girl, your mammy, Mary Ann Teresa is what we called her, but everyone called her Pebbles, because she'd say, my name's Mary Ann Teresa and my daddy works down the quarry. And across the road was my friend Barney and his wife Betty, and they had a wee fella, I think his name was Martin Paul or Joseph, I can't remember. We called him Bam Bam, because he had a big club in his hand. He'd go bashing things around. But we'd all go out together. So myself and Wilma would go out with Barney and Betty was good fun, and Barney was my friend, so it was good crack. And we'd all go out to the cinema together. We'd go to a takeaway and we'd get some big giant ribs or something like that. And sometimes I'd bring Dino, and he was a dinosaur as well, but it was kind of unclear what their role was, whether they were pets or slaves or machines. I couldn't tell, but they're all gone now anyway. But I got home one evening, and who was in the house? Only an old mountain cat. And I put him outside and I closed the door, but didn't he climb in the window? He climbed in the window and put me outside. And that was it. I was banging against the door for about 2 hours, and all the Castle Rock, all the lights went on, being like, hey, Fred, are you all right? And Wilma didn't hear a thing. We had a lot of fights, Me and Wilma slept in separate beds when your mammy was born, and we stayed sleeping in separate beds, but sometimes I'd look across the way and I'd see Barney and Betty, and they'd be giggling, laughing at something, or they'd be dancing away to rock and roll. And your granny didn't like giggling, laughing. She didn't like rock and roll either. But she got on with it. I worked all day in that quarry and I slept in that wee bed at night. But I did it because I'd be sleeping under the same roof as my wee girl. Would you like another cup of tea? I've got a rhubarb tart in the kitchen if you want some.